right, so to start off with the bird's eye view, and we're gonna do another cityscape, but in bird's eye view, let's put our vanishing points in. So go ahead, actually, let's do the one on the bottom first. So right at the bottom of the paper, go ahead and put right here, all the way down on the bottom, we're gonna put our VP number 3, okay? And then on this one, we're actually going to put our top 2 vanishing points really high up, all the way on the sides and pretty much at the very top of the paper. Maybe you could leave just a tiny bit of a gap, but pretty much at the top of the paper. Now, let's go ahead and put our horizon line in there, right? So we're gonna put the eye level line for bird's eye right up here. So let's write VP number 1, VP number 2, and then we're gonna write vanishing point number 3 down here if you haven't already. So go ahead and let's get all of those on there. And the next thing we're gonna do is try to visualize exactly what this is gonna look like. And so what we wanna do is take a second here and imagine that you're looking down at a cityscape. Okay, so we're gonna start with the main building first. So what I want you to do is angle this main line right to vanishing point 3. So you can put your ruler on vanishing point 3 right down here, and we're gonna angle it. And now what I want you to do is go maybe a couple inches down, and it's probably gonna be about, I don't know, let's say 5 inches or so this way. Okay, we're gonna leave ourselves a decent amount of room up at the top, okay? You don't wanna go too high with this line. All right, so we have our first line. Now remember, it's angling down towards vanishing point 3 because it's in bird's eye perspective, okay? So that is going down here. Now, what I want you to do is put a little dot on the top here and the bottom of the line. This is gonna be our first building here. And what I want you to do is, just like we normally would, is we're gonna draw lines back to our vanishing points. In this case, the top and the bottom vanishing points. So I'm gonna line up my ruler here, and I'm gonna go back to VP number 1. Now I don't have to go all the way back because we're basically gonna be drawing a box here to make the first set of buildings, first building. But just so it kind of illustrates the point, I'm gonna do a dashed line all the way back to vanishing point number 2. Now, we're gonna do the same thing on the bottom. So the top, we did that. The bottom, we're gonna do that as well. So go ahead and draw your receding lines back to vanishing point number 1. And then we're gonna draw a receding line back here to vanishing point number 2, okay? Now the part that tricks people a little bit, that people get a little bit thrown off by, is the sides. Now remember, this is not 2-point perspective. We're not gonna do straight up and down. So this time, we need to line it up to vanishing point 3. So go ahead and put your ruler right here, and on vanishing point number 3, and then I'm gonna aim the ruler right to make the side here. So I'm gonna make the side going this way, and this is probably good. So go ahead and draw it right here. And you can see if it were to continue down, it would continue all the way back to the vanishing point number 3. And then same thing, go ahead and line up your ruler again, and we'll make side number 2 here. Just like that. Okay, so go ahead get to that point right there. Now the next thing that we need to do is make the top of the box. Okay, now we're gonna be doing some overlapping, so draw lightly. So go ahead and we're gonna angle this back here. And then we're gonna angle this one over here. as well to form the top of the box. And so we have the back corner right here. Now what we need to do is actually make something on top of it. So how can we make a box resting on top of this? Because this is going to be one of our buildings, and we're going to make it a little bit more interesting. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to put a dot, let's see, right about here where I'm pointing, okay? Inside the box. Now we're going to line up our ruler again to vanishing point number 3. And what I want you to do is draw a line that goes just a little bit above the back here. And we're going to put a little dot here. And we're also going to make do the same thing. We're going to go like this. We're going to go back to vanishing point 1 right here on both sides. Now we're going to go back to vanishing point 2. Okay. And then let's do it on this top part. I'm going to go back to vanishing point number 2 and number 1. Now here we go. Just like this. Now, since the eye level is really high, we're going to be basically looking down on all of these buildings. So what we need to do to make the sides, right, make sure it's lined up to vanishing point number 3 down there. And we're going to just go like this to form that edge. And then slide your ruler over a little bit. And go like this to form the edge. Now, what I'm going to do is erase inside of this box. That way we can see the overlapping right here. Okay? And then what I want to do, let me draw this just a little straighter. Then what I want to do is make the top of the box right there. Okay. All right, so same thing. Back to vanishing point 1 and back to vanishing point 2. Just like that, okay? So now we have a little area on top. It could be a multi-layered skyscraper or building, okay? Now, before we get too far along, what I want to do is put in a couple of city streets. That way, we can kind of work around that and we can draw the building. So right a little bit lower than the building right here, just a little tiny bit lower, make a little mark, okay, right here. And what we're going to do is form a little kind of a street, okay? So this is going to be kind of where the buildings are around. So if you were to walk around, so what we're going to do first is draw a line like this back to our vanishing point number 2. Okay, and we're going to draw a line like this back to our vanishing point number 1. Now, it looks kind of like a V. And then what we're going to do, I'm going to keep my ruler on vanishing point 1. I'm going to erase just a few perspective lines because sometimes there's so many dashes and dots that it gets a little confusing. So I'm going to keep my ruler on vanishing point 2, and I'm going to move it down just a little bit like this. See how it kind of gets more narrow this way. And let's say right about here, I'm going to draw a line back to vanishing point 1. And then right about here on the other side, I'm going to draw another line going back to vanishing point 2. And what that's going to do is kind of reveal where the street is going to be. I'll show you here in just a minute what it looks like. So this is going to be the street, and the street will be going like this. Now, I can't really see it yet because we're just getting started, but what I'm going to do is continue it this way. So let's go ahead and put our ruler this way here. This is the street is going to be headed in this direction here. So I'm going to continue this line. This was headed towards vanishing point number 2. All right. And what I'm going to do here is now basically kind of make this little X pattern. All right. And what that's gonna do is give me an intersection, all right, kind of like this. So now if I erase this part in the middle, this almost looks like a little street. Now I'm gonna end the street, let's say right about here, okay? I'll end the street right here, and I'm gonna draw another line back to my vanishing point, and I can erase this part. And then I'm gonna go here, just trying to give us something that looks a little bit more like a type of a city view. And this part, the block will be right here. Now it's gonna end. Now, if we wanna put a few details in here, just so we can kind of see exactly what's happening, sometimes the street might have little dashes on there, right? So we'll just put a few dashed lines. Let me line this up to the vanishing point. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're just gonna put little dashes like this, just to kind of show that there's a road here, and we wanna kind of make the dashes go slightly closer together and slightly smaller as it goes back. Okay, we're keeping it really simple here. Just a little dashed line, just to show that this is a street. We'll continue it this way, making sure we're aiming towards the vanishing point there, and I'll put it going this way, okay? And a little bit bigger here. All right, so that would just be a very simple way to just kind of frame this whole thing. And so again, do it on this side and just put little dashes there for where the street is. Little markings on the street. You can get a little smaller as it goes back, and then just continue it this way, okay? All right, so that's kind of what we're gonna do. Now, I'm gonna put another building over here, and it might overlap with the street a little bit. So we have our first building, and actually before I do that, let's put a nice detail in this building, just so we can kind of get the idea of how to add some detail. So right over here on the right side of the building, let's do 2 windows, okay? And we're gonna have 2 little windows. So first, I want you to make kind of a frame. Make sure your ruler goes to vanishing point number 3 down here, and we're gonna put a little frame around, and we're gonna have, instead of just 1 giant window, we're gonna have 2 windows. So I'm gonna make it here and here. Okay, basically 2 boxes is all we're doing. And then we're gonna make it look a little 3D. So here and here, just like that. Okay, so 2 little windows. I'll zoom in just a little bit so we can kind of see the way that the windows are formed. And let's draw going back to vanishing point number 2. We're gonna make this in perspective, okay? So 2 little windows here. So if I zoom in for just a moment, we can see the window. What we have to do in order to make it look 3D is what? We have to look for the corner. So go ahead and put a little blue dot right here where the corner of the window is. Since we're looking down on it, since we're looking down on this, then we're gonna see the bottom of the window. So line up your ruler here to vanishing point number 1, and then go in just a tiny bit this way, and then slide the ruler down to this corner and go just a little bit this way. Okay, so it has a little tiny bit of an edge, and then what we're gonna do is line up our ruler to vanishing point 3, and that is going to give us the side right here. I'm gonna do it on both parts, making sure they both go to vanishing point number 3. And then all we have to do to make this window look 3-dimensional is the bottom part here goes back to VP number 2 this way, okay? And we're gonna shade that in right away just to make it look a little bit more interesting. And so we can, what I'll do is use a couple different colors. I'll use blue here for the bottom, just so it stands out. Okay, blue for the bottom, and then I'll use yellow for the side right here. Okay, so we can see, let me zoom back out just a little bit. We can kind of see how that works, making sure every corner, every line goes to one of those 3 vanishing points here. Now what we need to do is also do one up here, just so we can have a little bit more detail, and we'll do that on the other side of that. So let's do it on the left side of the building. So line up your ruler to the vanishing point number 3 on the bottom. And we'll just do one right in the middle, just to keep it real simple, just like this. And then we just go back to our vanishing point number 1 and 2. And this time it's just gonna be the opposite, right? The opposite. So right here, we need to put a little blue dot. If I zoom in, put a little blue dot here on the bottom left. Line up your ruler here to vanishing point number 2. Go like this. Go a little bit in. Then the corner will go back to the other vanishing point. First we line this one up to vanishing point 3 down at the bottom. And then I go back here to vanishing point number 1. So all of the vanishing points are used. And then same thing, I'll use the some colored pencils just to make it stand out just a little bit. And then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so on this one, I'll use red on this side, just so it's a little different of the window. And then I'll use blue again for the bottom, okay? I just have a couple different sizes. Now let's continue here and make a few more buildings, because right now we have, it's interesting looking, it's just not the whole city yet. And we have our vanishing point number 3 all the way down here. We want to make sure we continue to use the vanishing point 3. And next what we want to do is put in another building down here. So right where I'm pointing here on the side, on the left and the right, we're going to put a few more in. So let's start with this one. Now we always start with the corner first, okay? So right over here, we're going to put a vertical line going down a little bit, not quite to the street. Make it stop right before the street. So line up your ruler to vanishing point 3. We're going to put a little bit of a vertical line. And then what I want you to do is same thing, the top and the bottom, just like we've been practicing, goes back to vanishing point 1 and 2. So let's start here with the first one. The top is going to go a little bit. Now I don't want it to go, actually I should say you can overlap the street on the top part, but not on the bottom. So let me show you. Let's do the bottom first. You want the bottom of the building to stop a little bit before the street, because you wouldn't have a building going all the way into the street, would you? Now, the top of the building, however, because we're up above, it can look like it's overlapping, because sometimes that happens. So we're going to go a little bit overlapping like this. And then let's go back to both vanishing points. We're going to have vanishing point 1. Now we're not going to see much of the side at all. This one, you're going to see very little of the side. Why aren't you going to see much of the side? Is because of the angle. Now if you want to see more of the side, here's what you can do. I'm going to make an artistic decision here. Because I wasn't seeing enough of the side, I'm just going to move the building over just a little bit, because I want to see a little bit of the edge. Just made a little decision. Now when I go here, I'll see a tiny bit of that edge. It's just, you know, sometimes in art you're going to have awkward angles. And see, now I can see some of the side. So I'm going to just make it a little bit of smaller building. And I go back here, the top and the bottom. So now what I need to do is form the edge. And so I'm going to line this up to vanishing point 3 right here. Okay, and that formed the side A. And I can erase this part just so we can see what's happening. I'm going to erase this part. It's going to look a little bit like it's overlapping, but we know it actually still has room there. And then what I'm going to do is line this part up here, and we can go back like this. And so now I can actually see some of the side of the building, and I like that. If I was over to the side, you wouldn't see any of the building. And I'm going to erase this part. And then we're going to go back here to vanishing point 1, just like this, and then vanishing point 2. So you as the artist, you have to make those decisions, sometimes changing things. All right, so there we go. That looks good. We can see that. And let's go ahead and also put one down here. So right over here, I'm going to make the side of my building, and I'll make the side of the building right here, going down to the vanishing point, and then go ahead and put a dot for the top and the bottom. And I want you to angle it back like this. It's going to angle back to vanishing point 1 and 2. In this case, going back to vanishing point 2. This is the side of the building. Now I'm going to stop right about here because it's a little bit before the street. And then over here, same thing. We're not going to see much of the side at all, but we'll see maybe a little bit of it. Okay, just like that. And actually this one you won't see. My mistake, you won't see. That's okay. You're just going to see one edge of the building. So let's go like this. And then we're going to form the side of that right here. All right, and then this side is going to go over to here, just like this. All right, and sometimes it's just like that. It's just a little bit awkward of an angle. And you can always just adjust it, move it around a little bit, and kind of until it looks right for you. Okay, so let's say this one also ended at an awkward angle. Maybe I'll make this one a really narrow building. Let me try it like this. I want to see if this looks a little bit better. I'm gonna try it like this. Okay, and then what I can do is draw that back to my vantage point. Still kind of the same thing where you're not seeing all of the different angles and stuff like that. That's okay. Now we have to form the rest of the buildings, put a few windows in and so forth. Okay, I think I wasn't liking this one. I'm gonna move it over way to the left. I want to see how it looks. Just looked a little awkward way over there. So let me just move it one more time. I'm gonna go like this. This is gonna be my top and bottom. And then I'm gonna go like this for the sides. This will be side 1. Okay, and here we go. I'll try not to get too picky with it or else I'll be here all day trying to figure it out. But you can make those decisions how you want. It's just sometimes it's gonna be up to the artist just to kind of determine. And then I go like this. And I still can't really see the side. That's okay. We'll just keep it like this. So really, sometimes because of the view, it's partially blocked. So that's kind of what's happening just because it's so far over to the right. But that's okay, it still looks good. And then we're gonna do a few more windows and then we'll be good. Now, if you wanted to put a tree, real quick, let's say you wanted to put a tree right here, the trunk of the tree would actually aim towards the vanishing point. So let's do that. I'm gonna actually put the trunk of the tree aiming towards vanishing point 3, and we'll do like a real simple type of tree, just almost like a cartoonish, where we just go like this, and we have just a few little details of a tree right here. So you can see the trunk of the tree would be aiming towards the vanishing point. What happens if we put a tree over here? If you put a tree right here, the little trunk would aim towards vanishing point number 3, so try that. And then I'll just put kind of a simple top part of the tree here. All right, and then you can see that's going to work in 3-point perspective. So sometimes it's good to have trees and so forth. If I had a tree way back here, what would it look like? It would be really small, but the little trunk would aim like this, and I might make this one just a little smaller, just like this. Just a little tree like that. Now let's also put in a window here. We'll put it just a giant window, just like this. And then what I want to do is go back to my vanishing point. So we're going to put a few windows. Now you can also, let's say you wanted to put multiple ones at the same time. You could go like this, where you have a frame, and then the top and the bottom, let's go ahead and line up to the vanishing point, and let me show you what you can do. So once we get this started, it looks like this. This is in perspective now. And then what you can do is just take your ruler, look what I'm doing, and I can just make multiple ones at the same time. So maybe I draw a line like this for the window number 1. I'm gonna leave a little gap in here that I'm gonna erase in a second. And I can go like this. Window number 2, leave a little gap. And then I would have window number 3. So that sometimes is helpful if you want to just do lots of things at once. Now, as far as the window goes, let me just erase this little part here. Again, on the left side, we're going to line up the corners to VP number 2. So let's do that. I'm going to do all the corners at once. So see, I can go like this. Now I'm going to go down to window number 2 here and do a little corner going back to VP number 2, and then go down here to VP number 2, and then I can do all these at once. I'm going to line up vanishing point 3 and make sure they all at the same, I'm going to do them all at the same time. So I can just draw this one straight up, okay, from the corner right here, this one straight up from the corner, and this one straight up from the corner. And then I can line it back up to this vanishing point, and I can draw this part, and this part, just like that. And so what I did, it was able to, I think I'm gonna make just 2 windows. I think it looks better. There was too many, it was a little too crowded, so I'm gonna erase one of them. But if you do them all at the same time like that, it goes a little bit better. So let's color these in now, and let's shade this in. So what I had is red on the left side and yellow on the right, just like that. And we'll put a few more details in there. What we can do is also put another little box on top of this one. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and put a vertical line like this, and we're going to make like a second tier of this skyscraper. So we're going to go a little bit in here, a little bit in this way, and we're going to see if we can make this one look like it's really tall. Go back to our vanishing point. You see, you just have fun with it. You can add as many buildings as you want, or lease them out, and then let's go back here to vanishing point 3. And that will look interesting. Boom. And boom. Okay. This is going to look really interesting here. And then from this corner, let's go back to this vanishing point here, and from this corner we're going to go back to this vanishing point. All right, so now we have a tower. Now I should shade in a little bit just so we can kind of see. So maybe what I'll do is have I'll make just yellow on this side of the building so we can kind of see it, and I'll color this part in a little bit. Really stands out. Okay, and then pick another color. All you have to do is do a little bit more on this part. So let's go like this. Let's put one more vertical line, and then the top and the bottom is going to go back here. We're going to make another tier on this one. The top and the bottom is going here. The other vanishing point is here. Okay, and we're just doing, this one is a little bit awkward of a view, so we can't really see much, can we? So we're just going to see this part here. And actually, you know what? I don't know if I like the look of that. I'm going to change that. I'm just going to leave it like this. Let's just put one more big window in on this side, and I think that will be done just for the demonstration here. I think that will be enough. So let's put one more window so you can kind of trace the line like this. Top and the bottom is going to go back to the vanishing point. I'm going to do 2 at once. So I'll do 1 here. This will be my first big window. I'll leave a little bit of space. That's the part I'm going to erase. And then I'll do window number 2. Let me do that erase this part. And then how do we make it 3D on this side? You take the corner and you go back to your vanishing point. Now we can't really see much because of the angle. So because of that, we're just gonna see kind of the side part a little bit. So line this one up here to the vanishing point, just like this. And then we're gonna have the vanishing point is going to be right over here. And actually, let me see. I just don't like the way that looks. So I'm gonna do the window on this side. Sometimes I just make that decision. Let me just color this one in. We could do it there, but I think I'm just gonna keep it, just because of the angle, I'll keep this one and just do a window, and we'll call it, just do one window in 3D right here, we'll call it a day. So let's do it over here. Kind of like the way that this looks. As artists, you gotta make those decisions. This will be just a giant window, just like that. Very good. And then what we have to do over here is make the corner again, go back to the vanishing point right here. Then we're gonna make this one go back to here. And then we're gonna go back this way. Let's color it in so we can get a good idea of what it looks like. Here's blue down here. And we'll do red on this side. And I'll just finish this one off by adding just a couple more colors. But I think that's a general idea of what a city could look like. We can take our time and finish coloring it in here. Pick any colors you want. And we got yellow over here. We could even, if you want, put a little green for the trees. Just a little good green for the top of the trees, so we can recognize that. Maybe we want to do gray for the street, or brown you could do for the trunk. So whatever colors that you want. But that should be a good starting point. Maybe I'll have orange up here for the top of the roof. Just like that. Okay, so I think that's a good starting point. And so double check, make sure you have at least 3 or 4 buildings. You can put some other parts on the top, and we want to have